let's move around with it.
As long as you are ready to share.
Share is important. Brexit. First of all, my involvement with Brexit. I was asked to, I was actually recruited to engage people. The phraseology they used was to engage people whose ethnic origin stemmed from the Commonwealth. So I think that was one of the first time I came across that sort of definition, but I knew what it meant anyway. So I took on that role, and the first challenge was to headhunt the community leaders among those defined groups.
Is he got a microphone or not?
Yes, it's
Sorry.
got a microphone. Can you use the microphone because you're recording?
My apologies. I'll start again. Yeah. So actually you didn't miss much because all I said was way of introduction. So I was tasked with this challenge of getting people whose ethnic background are from the Commonwealth region. And the challenge I had at the time was, I thought it was an easy thing to do. And I went ahead, started contacting, obviously cascading from top to the ladies and gentlemen. But what was hitting me was something I never anticipated. That the very same people you and I are talking about are the people who are largely voting for Brexit. Okay, they were exercising their political franchise by doing that. But the other side to it is, why are you voting for us to leave Europe? And the key things, because at a point I started making notes for this, so that it's not just my imagination, or that I'm making them up. One is housing. Okay, can you explain? Oh, we don't like these Eastern Europeans coming here to take our housing. Say, your housing. Second one was, before I leave housing, I said, well, I didn't realize that your forefathers built houses here, which you are protecting. Second point, jobs.
Yeah.
I don't like these Eastern Europeans coming here and taking our jobs. What jobs? They refer me to the construction industry. That in there, the people from Eastern Europeans are coming in and they are being hired. I said, do you know what? I'm actually hiring them for my properties than I'm hiring you guys, because they do better work cheaper. These are the sort of arguments we tend to have in terms of work and whatever. So I think there's a discontinuum in terms of communication about what this whole Brexit is about. And that became quite clear when, after the vote, the Remains lost, because there was an assumption that they would not lose. Otherwise, people like Cameron would not throw his political career on the line. We all took it for granted, to be honest with you. But here we are. Now, why are we disappointed? We are disappointed in a climate where a disproportionately high number of black people actually went to the poll. This hasn't happened before. They don't usually do that. Black people will stay back at home. You call them for a time union meeting, they're too busy. Look at this brilliant opportunity, an opportunity to create and share knowledge. They are not here. Where are they? One other thing that shocked me was when I have to mention the church because there's nothing wrong with it. It's called Pastor Alex Church in Barking. That's right. So he saw my book on policing and wanted us to collaborate because he said there was this knife gang business going on And in his church were a lot of young people. So he thought there would be a project there. So I came in for us to do that. The appointment was 10 a.m. on Monday morning. Fine. I turned up. The shock I had was that there were over 300 people in that church. 10 a.m. Monday morning, when you would have thought that honest citizens are busy going to work. Over 300 people in that church, waking up, queuing for toilet. And look at this type of event. Look at the disparity in terms of what our people consider important. The previous speakers, the few I was able to hear, made the point so well. How we have to engage. Do you know the other side of it is, this is not cultural. Our behavior here is not cultural.
That's true. That's true.
The African community back home is a communal dynamics.
That's true.
This is why some people, I'm not pointing at you, don't worry. Some people get married to several wives and survive. Why are Africans polygamous? The Westerners think that it is because they want to enjoy more sex. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Polygamy in Africa is about procreation. It's about building a community. Because in some African countries, you cannot marry a second wife without the approval of the first wife. And if you're going to marry the second wife, you would need to be able to provide and show the parents that you can provide before you go in. What do we have here in the West? Serial monogamy, what I call serial monogamy. In a space of 15 years, a man has married 5 times and divorced 5 times. And he's walking the street with 5 women wishing him death every minute.
God.
True or false? Come on. Let's look at what is happening to us here. So I would have to support the previous speakers. The way forward is back home. Africa remains the only continent that has up to 75% virgin land. The Westerners here tell you about animal conservation. Leave the lands to preserve animals and stuff. If they are so keen on preserving wildlife, why is it that there's only less than 10% available land in Europe for animal conservation if they love them so much? I'm not saying extinguish them, but we have a history and a track record of living side by side with wildlife. There's a film from the Kenyans. Kenyans have their sheep and cattle. The lions have their own track. And one day, one stupid lion strayed over and came and picked their cattle. The Kenyan community, all of them, called off work that day and assembled. And they worked 25 miles in search of this one single lion. They didn't come back until they tracked that lion and killed that lion with their sticks. Now, they did not go mass shooting, killing. They didn't even go with a gun. They went with their stick. They tracked the actual perpetrator before it teaches others how to start picking unauthorized meal. Now compare it to the American man who came all the way from wherever he came from, but he's American, to go and shoot an elephant. He was paid $200,000. Why did he do that? Just for trophy. Just for trophy. And these are people we're taking lessons from on how to preserve our community. Now, what is our way forward? Our way forward is public engagement. That's it. The time is gone where we are armchair scientists. We sit down beside our 52-inch, it's getting bigger now, television. and prefer you theories of alienation and theories of the world. We have to get our butts out. I'm currently running a program with the Labour Party, mentoring an education program. The idea of that is to match every single MP with a black professional whom they are going to mentor for a period of 6 months at a time. The whole idea is, if you say we are qualified, but we are not suitable, now we want to be qualified and suitable. True? Way back in the 80s, when I was a student, they used to tell us, you can't get a job because you're not qualified. Okay, you're qualified, but you're not suitable.
No, you're overqualified.
So we have to keep breaking down all these barriers they put in front of us. So this mentoring program is to get black people not only into politics, but into public life. Because there's a lot of money in Wangoism. If you go to all these boards, they pay them £400 for 1 day sitting. I sit on 2 of them, sorry about that. But that is where the decisions are made. That is where the decisions are made. Last Wednesday, there was a fat cat day, where one person in 4 hours earns what somebody in the same company earns in 1 year.
Yes.
So they talk to you within the Brexit and other social debates that there is no resources. That's fallacy. The problem, my experience within the United Nations shows me that the problem of the world is not resources, it is distribution.
That's it.
How do you distribute it? Now, how do we make them to distribute it? These are all done within smoke field. Oh, there's no more smoke. But within confined spaces. When the lottery started, I was on the board of lottery. And we used to go in at 2 in the afternoon to decide who wins, whose project is going to be funded or not. And we finished by 4:30. And within that period of time, we've given away 30 million to local projects. So I did that for a period of about 3 months and called for a review of the projects we've funded. 100% of the community groups whose funded were withdrawn were black people. 100%. And these are community organizations that have been functioning for 20 years, 15 years, happily, until they got the big money to do what they said they wanted to do. Then they all pull knives out. Then they start saying who is sleeping with the chairman's wife. So we talked about education, that is our problem. Yes, and awareness. My dad says to you, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Yes, some people who say, oh, I'm tired, I want to die. I can't live anymore. You're tired of living? Try dying. So my brothers and sisters, I'm trying to paraphrase this since and just brought out because I think I'm not teaching young dogs how to suck old eggs. Just trying to change it a bit. But I think the message is clear. One message I would like us to take away from here is involvement, involvement, involvement. In my homeland, back in Africa, once the farmers go in to the farm and harvest their yam, they all come around a big fire. You might be familiar with this. And everybody will stick their own yam into it to roast so that they can eat it. But the fire suddenly becomes congested. Once it becomes congested, and you had your yam in there, and you decide to go and wee, by the time you come back, your yam is out there. The people who are around there stick theirs in. It's a proverb. What it means is that people around the table decide what happens. The moment you exclude yourself there, no matter how frustrating they are, the whole system is, no matter how much they make you angry, do not walk away. Because once you walk away, you have cleared the ground for them. Stay there and become a pain in their better side. So, my brothers and sisters, let us involve, involve, involve ourselves. Engage, engage, and engage again. It takes sacrifices. But it's a small sacrifice to what would happen if we do not involve ourselves. I go around campaigning for Labour Party. That's where I belong. And I tell our people, come on, something is happening. They say, oh, no, I'm not into politics. I said, really? If you're not into politics, can you cross the road when the light is red? Then come back and tell me that you're not into politics. Because it's a child, not a child, it's somebody in the early 20s who decides where that traffic light is mounted and how much of your money that is going to be spent there and how much of your money that they're going to take away by way of tax, by way of national insurance, by council tax. What are you going to do about it? Court decision is done. But if you're sitting there, if you look at how the dynamics has changed slightly within the criminal justice system in terms of our involvement in magistracy, then you begin to see what I'm saying. Yeah. Because since our black people start sitting within the magistracy, the language started changing a bit. Yeah. Because you no longer can sit there and two white people and say, oh, here they come again. You say, here who comes again? You understand? So there used to be a time when black people were put to jail, saying that they are guilty simply because they put their face down by way of respect. Yeah. I was a member of the, what is it called? Association of Probation Officers when they set up. And that helped a lot. Because probation officers were writing stupid reports. One example is a gentleman that was thrown in jail. And when I called for the social inquiry report, written by a white lady, she started by, this young man has been drinking all day. He's been drinking high alcohol. So there was a fight around 4:30. So she now pins it to the fact that the man has been drinking all day. I said, okay, all day. What time is all day? She said, maybe about lunchtime. What time is lunchtime? Says about 1:30. Okay. You said to the judge, you've been drinking whole day. So you're not admitting that there is no whole day, it's from lunchtime. Okay. What is the quality? What is the alcohol content of what he was drinking? Oh, I didn't know. It must be something like, maybe it's cold, or it might be, I said, how much alcohol content is it? You don't know? Let me tell you, it's less than 5%. He said, well, I don't drink alcohol. Maybe you're right. I said, do you know the one I drink? She says, no, I drink the one that is 9%. She dropped. I said, do I look to you now like somebody who is incapable of controlling? She says, no, not at all. That she never thought about it that way. I said, look, a gentleman is in jail now because you have not thought of it. She shedded tears. So examples I'm giving you is that nobody could have got that woman to that level. She's not a bad woman. You see, their own ignorance as well, because don't think that they are loaded with ignorance. And we have a duty to teach them. And how do we teach them? We teach them by getting involved and cross-fertilizing their ideas, and also to learn. Then my last point is about how what we do in terms of our ancestral land. There's good and bad everywhere. What you need to do is take the good in this society and leave the bad behind. Go to Nigeria, take the good there and leave the bad behind. You don't have to take it wholesale. At least in Nigeria, you still get a day's work for 4,000 naira. You pay a laborer 4,000 naira to do a day's job. So if 4,000 naira, I mean, you know the exchange rate because you always carry this big bag. So these are the things, but do not approach African country with disrespect. You will get burned badly. Because once you leave a country, the country leaves you. So if you're going back, let it be a gradual process. I made the transition. I now lecture in one of the universities. So they pay me salary and I can claim local, that I'm a local guy. Yes? And once it's time to come over here, I do what we need to do to be around here. But please, if you are doing it already, try to increase on that. Try to teach others how to do the same thing as well, because that's the only way we can survive. Our children now are another generation we have to deal with in a particular way. When I want to have guests and I call my son to come in, he says, "Oh, Dad, I know you want your cola nut. I know that's what you want first." I said, "Good, go and get it." So he will go and get it, and that kind of communicates to him, but you wouldn't get it otherwise. So we are all doing that. A lot of people here are doing the same. But what we're saying here is how let us increase the good things we are doing, move in to new areas where we are not doing things, where there's a lot of value. Yes?